Last summer, me and my wife went to Japan and had an absolutely wonderful time there. We got to visit Kyoto, Osaka, and of course Tokyo. I've made 2 separate videos about our time in Kansai and Kanto respectively, so be sure to check them out when you have the time. This is more of a pickups video, basically what we purchased during our trip, and maybe a side story where we got it and in which city. In case I remember, of course, so let's have a look. First, let's start with a coral pink Nintendo Switch and a matching case that we picked up in Osaka. And of course, we picked up some games, starting with Pokemon Legends Arceus and the Konosuba tie-in title, which unfortunately was not translated into English. Now, next was one of the games that I was actually looking for in Japan, which is Yokai Watch 1 for the Nintendo Switch. And I believe it's one of the few Yokai Watch games for the system, so it was great to pick it up very, very early in our journey. The second game is a sort of a mini-game compilation title about cats that compete against each other, so I thought it would be a fun couch co-op game. But to be honest, it's the cover art that sold me. I'm a bit dumb when it comes to these things. Later on, we picked up 2 more tie-in titles, specifically a Bakugan game and a My Hero Academia title, which yet again was not translated from Japanese into English, so my wife has a hard time playing it, unfortunately. The thing about buying games in Japan is that if you go for something like a PlayStation 4, a PS5 or a Switch title, chances are it's going to have an English translation built into it. However, the older games probably will not be translated into English. So based on that, I was convinced that, well, it's a Nintendo Switch title, so it's gotta have English in it. And unfortunately, even though some of these games have an international release, they might not contain the English translation, which is why we've had situations like this. In my previous videos, I mentioned how much I enjoyed playing Taiko no Tatsujin, Japan's famous rhythm game. So, on the last day of our trip, I finally decided to purchase the home version of Taiko no Tatsujin for the Nintendo Switch. Basically, I brought a drum home from Japan. The Nintendo DS is one of the most popular and successful consoles of all time, and only when I came to Japan I realized how big its library was, so let's have a look at some of the DS titles that I picked up during our trip. I have a friend who is a massive Kingdom Hearts fan, so it was a complete no-brainer for me to pick up the Kingdom Hearts 358/2 days for him. I'm a big Shin Megami Tensei fan, and I was really happy to find the original Devil Survivor for the Nintendo DS. If there is one thing that I've learned during my trip is how much the Japanese like baseball. So not only did I make a fool out of myself trying to score a home run in the batting cages, but also picked up a copy of Puro Yakyu for the Nintendo DS. I really want to improve my Japanese, and one way to do it is to consume content that is intended for kids. So that's why I got a few kids anime and manga tie-in games, and one of them actually came with a funky stylus in a separate box. For the more retro Nintendo systems, I got some classics. The Japanese version of Super Mario All-Stars, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and of course the original Donkey Kong Country. The cool thing about Japan is that if there is a niche franchise that nobody cares about, you are going to find it. And chances are it's going to be for a reasonable price as well. So that's how I managed to find 2 Super Famicom J-League tie-in games for 100 yen each. On our second full day in Osaka, I found a Super Famicom Game Boy adapter, and I thought it would be a cool addition to my collection. And I got a copy of Ultraman to try it out. To finish off our Nintendo portion of this video, here is an adorable Kirby-themed automaton that I got at Donkey Hot. Moving on to the PlayStation titles. Starting with the only PS5 game that I picked up during the trip, and that is a copy of Edo Zombie Uprising. When it came to the PlayStation, I focused mainly on the older consoles, as most post-PS3 games were released worldwide and are not as hard to obtain. I wanted a classic 3D Dragon Quest title, so I got Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. Of course, there were some impulse buys that turned out to be great, like this samurai action game, or complete blunders like this visual novel based on the 2000s anime that I've never watched. Of course, I could have been more deliberate and picked up the things that I really wanted, but where's the fun in that? I'm really into football and wrestling, so I could not pass up the opportunity to get some games based on the local federations and leagues. And getting one of the first Pro Evolution Soccer games that came out for the PlayStation 2 was also very nice. Speaking of deliberately looking for games, Kenka Bancho was a title that I really wanted to pick up and was quite happy to find it on the first shopping day in Kyoto. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, Kenka Bancho is a series of Japanese games about delinquents that started on the PlayStation 2 and later went on to get more releases on portable consoles, and I was actually quite happy to find a few of them during our trip. The PSP is home to Ryuga Gatoku Shinsho, a Yakuza spin-off game, and I found this when we went to Super Potato in Ikebukuro, Tokyo. You can find lots of loose games for portable consoles in Japan, so that's how I got my hands on Monster Hunter 3 Portable. And last but not least, another Kingdom Hearts game for the same friend. I thought it would make a great double souvenir for him. Moving on to things that are not exactly games. During our time in Osaka, we came across a Dragon Quest themed Lawson. So I picked up this Dragon Quest 1 styled playing card deck. My wife got this wonderful glow-in-the-dark bath ball. A random midnight snack at Sukiya got us this fun little figure. Japan is a real mecca for everything car related, including toys. So I purchased some famous die-cast Takara Tomy replicas of the local taxi car, a minivan, and the legendary A86 from the anime Initial D. During our time in Tokyo, we visited the Nissan Cross in Ginza, where I got this nice blue keychain. Of course, we played some gacha, which we found way more enjoyable than the local UFO catchers, at which we sucked. So here are a few car-related gacha trinkets, including a small model car which I'm yet to assemble. I'm a pretty big Japanese football fan and watch the J1 League quite regularly, so I rolled some gachas at the local sports equipment store. I got some keychains with J1 League club mascots. That same store had a wide selection of other Japanese football trinkets like this gorgeous Shukyu 30th anniversary J-League magazine, some nice JFA candy, and a pack of collector cards. I don't think it would come as a surprise if I told you that Japan has tons of different action figures. So we thought it would be a great idea to get some gifts for our friends like this JoJo Press, a Morgana figure from Persona 5, Dancing All Night, and this muscular man. Still don't know who he is? Let me know in the comments, please. I also wanted to get some books to improve my Japanese, so I got a few volumes of Doraemon and Crayon Shin-chan. And I believe that's it for the pickups video. Thank you so much for waiting. I mean, it took me about 2 months to finally release this video. If you haven't seen the previous parts where me and my wife traveled to Osaka, Kyoto, and Tokyo in the summer of 2024, please be sure to give them a go. Thank you so much for joining. And if you like this content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.